y'all. Welcome back to Wine About It Presents Am I Doing This Right? Which really is just a series talking about parenthood, talking about being mothers, and talking about the things that moms go through. So thank you for tuning in. We have the greatest, Miss Angela Lightfoot.
That's Arlen.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I love you.
I love you too.
So
you know
much.
this.
Yes.
Yeah.
We like this. So to start off, tell us who you are.
Okay.
Tell us what you do, and then give us a little fun fact about you, or like your favorite thing about yourself. Let's start it off positive.
Okay, we're gonna start it off positive. So my name is Angela Lightfoot. I am a spiritual and mental health wellness coach. I have my own business, Miss Angela Coaches, and I also work with the wonderful and incredible Miss Rita Ricks. I have been doing the true coaching, life coaching, wellness coaching, mental health wellness, as well as spiritual coaching for about the last 3 years. I come from a background in mental health wellness. And like most of us, when COVID hit, I wanted to stop going into people's houses just as much as they wanted to stop me from coming into their houses.
Yeah.
So it created the opportunity. And even honestly, before COVID even happened, I met Rita in October.
Mm-hmm.
And the way we just kind of connected and what she saw in me, and she saw that she's like, you are already coaching. We can change it up a little bit.
Yeah.
So it allowed me for these last couple of years to just dive right into the spiritual and mental health wellness coaching, because we recognize we can watch the news every day and see every day, are they not mentioning something mental health related?
Yeah.
When we look at our churches, we see so much happening, but we're not seeing a lot of conversations about it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have the opportunity to bring all of those worlds together, and recognizing for myself growing up. So my fun fact, when we used to get the report cards and the teachers would always make the comments, they would always say, you know what, Angela's really bossy, but you know what she's telling these kids is really working.
Yeah.
Keep up the good work.
Yeah.
So it always started from when I was little, of just being able to sense what people were going through, and to be able to offer just some advice, or offer the idea of, you tell me what's going on and let me just say it back to you the way I hear it, to help you come to your own resolution.
Yeah.
So that's me.
No, that's really good. I'm really glad that you said that. I feel like that's so you. Like, I can absolutely see that 1000%. And I love that for you.
Thank you.
So I want to explain how we met and why you're here.
Right.
I really had to think about why we met, because I couldn't remember, Angela. Do you remember?
I'm trying to. I know you came to one of my events, but even before then, we
met. So my first thought too was one of your workshops, and I was like, but you invited me, so like you knew me. I did a photo shoot for you.
Me. That's right, through our girl Shanice.
Yes,
that's how it really started.
Yes,
that's what it was.
It literally hit me like last night, because I was like, how did we meet? Like, I don't remember.
Right.
Yeah.
But then I think what's funny is that I've always known of you because of my sister. Because of you all being in high school, because I know I've heard your name before. I know at graduations, all those types of things.
Yeah.
I've seen you. So I think on one side, I almost felt like I've always known you for a while.
Aww.
But it was definitely that first photo shoot where you did a phenomenal job.
Thank you. Yeah. For me, it always goes back to your very first workshop. Like, that's where like things changed for me completely. Yeah. So that's why I was like, how did we actually meet?
Right.
But right. So that's how we met. And you're here because in this segment, we're going to be talking about the loss of a parent.
Right.
And I haven't really talked much about it on my channel. But as you know, Damaris's father passed away last year. And you really helped me gain a perspective of like how to talk to him about it, how to explain things to him in a specific way, and how to meet him at his level.
Right.
While also grieving myself.
Absolutely.
So you really like helped me. And it was funny because I always knew that you were a life coach. So like I knew that you could like help, but Shanice had texted me and was like, talk to Angela. Like go ahead and like reach out and like see if you can get like 30 minutes. Cause like this will really help.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know, people are busy. Like it might be a process. But like I hit you up and you were like, hey, I have 30 minutes to like 7:30.
Yeah.
We good? And I was like, we good.
Yeah.
So that's really where it like changed for me.
Well, good.
Yeah.
It was an opportunity for me because people come to me for a lot of different things. When it comes to anything related to mental health and grief, we have to recognize that it's such a high emotion, such a heavy emotion. It's one that impacts us at a level that sometimes we can't always explain.
Yeah.
So being available, especially when grief happens, sometimes you really just have to make the space. I mean, We all have lives and schedules, but in the
Yeah.
same token, it was nothing to be able to give you a few moments, because it does change the juxtaposition of what you do next.
Yeah.
You know, so by getting mama right and making sure mama was in her good space, she could be able to give her son, her baby, exactly what he needed.
Yeah.
So that's what I love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I greatly appreciate that, because that wasn't, I've dealt with death before, of course, but you know, when my grandmother passed, her and Damaris were very close.
Yeah.
And having to explain that to him was hard, and he was young then, and so it was like, I don't want to have to tell you this again.
Yeah.
You know, but I feel like you were like asking me questions and like trying to understand what was going on, so we could really like talk about it and we could figure out, you know, how to deal with things. And I just feel like it really it really helped.
Good.
Me.
Well, I think it's to understand that there's not one size that fits any of us.
Right.
Right. Because just like you said, with your grandmother passing, you know, for you, the time you got to spend with her was one thing, but then also having to explain it to your son is another. No one wants to give their kids bad news.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, nobody wants to have to do that. But understanding that it's like, okay, what box is going to work best for me in this time, in this period, in the environment that we live in? We have to understand that you can't just pop off and say something really horrible to a kid and then send them off to school.
Yeah.
We see what happens. We see, you know, the outbreak and the outcry that comes with all of that. So understanding that not one size fits all, but to get yourself in the best place to be able to deliver the message. But then, like you said, grieve yourself.
Yeah.
Take the time for you before you have to deliver anything. If you can. We all know there's some situations where it all just kind of hits quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Yeah.
Give yourself some grace. What is that statement now? I'm going to do the best I can with what I got.
Yeah.
Do the best you can with what you have so that you're able to do whatever it is you need to do next. And that goes so much past even just grief. You know, that goes into giving advice, giving love, nurturing other people. So really make sure you got something good to pour out from, at least do the best you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so I want to talk to you about some advice or some words of wisdom you would give a parent who's dealing with the loss of another parent. It may not have been their significant other the same way, you know, it wasn't with us, but just how to deal with that grief and how to explain things to your children.
So I think, like I said before, there's recognize first and foremost that there's not one way. There's not a perfect way. There's not the ideal way. Right? There just isn't when it comes to having to deal with grief and having to share that grief.
Yeah.
First, I'd like to just share this, and I don't even know who I heard it from. So when I can figure out who to give credit to, I will give credit to them. But it's the idea of the grief box. I think it's a great idea to be able to share this with kids and even with adults. Because I mean, when I first heard it, I was like, oh my goodness, like that's how it makes sense now.
Yeah.
I want you to imagine a shoebox, okay? Imagine like a big old shoebox. I like to say like a big old size, maybe like 13, 14 shoe, big old shoebox, right? Then maybe you store a whole bunch of, you know, stuff in. Take everything out of that box. And then I want you to think of a doorbell. Okay. The old school doorbells, not the Ring doorbells that we've got today, but those nice little skinny ones with a button on it. And I want you to put that in the center of the box. I want you to imagine that that box is your feelings of grief. It's all where it is contained. When that button gets pushed, it gives you the response of grief. It makes you cry. It makes you emotional. It makes you sad. It makes you potentially, you know, want to hurt others or yourself. As we know, there's all those levels of grief.
Yeah.
So imagine when the grief first happens, when the trauma first happens, when the loss first happens, what's in that box is like a big old beach ball. Now, if you can imagine a big beach ball trying to fit into a big, you know, shoebox, no matter where you try to stuff it, it's going to hit that button, which is going to cause the response. Right? As time starts to go by, that ball gets a little bit smaller to the point where maybe now it's a soccer ball, still big enough that anytime a little bit of movement happens, that button's getting pushed. Over time, the ball gets a little smaller and smaller to the point where it can get as small as, let's say, a marble. Now, if you can imagine a marble, as tiny as it may be in a box, it can roll all around and not hit anything. But let some life stuff start happening. Let some more grief start coming in your life. Let a loss of a job, a loss of another person, a friend, whatever. Shake it up just enough that that button gets pushed.
Yeah.
It makes us question why someone's been gone for so long. And all of a sudden, I feel like I'm right back in that space again. I'm emotional. I'm crying. My heart's breaking all over again. Because the button gets pushed. It's one of those things, time, that statement, time heals all wounds. No, it just makes the trigger a little bit smaller, so it takes a little bit more pressure to hit it.
Yeah.
So I honestly love using that as an example for kids. I mean, we can all find a shoebox in our home, find one of those buttons on Amazon that makes noise when you push it, and really show them that that's an example, so that it gives you permission that when you have the emotions, when you have the feeling, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. You're supposed to have some type of response, but it's recognizing that the ball actually does get smaller over time, but the button is always going to be there.
Yeah.
So I use that as a great example for parents to show their kids. It's a good way to be able to show it. But I think that what it comes to, it's meeting your child where they're at.
Yeah.
Depending on the relationship, depending on your faith and your belief, depending on the how the death happened, you really have to kind of figure out the best path. But for myself, I tell folks, as a parent, take a moment for yourself. If you're going to talk to your child about it, write it out first.
Yeah.
Record yourself saying it first.
Yeah.
Get a little comfortable with it, right? But also understand that when you are standing there and you're facing your child, everything you wrote down can be thrown away.
Yeah.
Because what's going to happen is that natural interaction. And it's also, your kid might get really, really upset. I mean, depending on the relationship, it's being able to cater to the responses that's also happening there. Give them a space to be able to cry, to maybe even act out a little bit. Maybe it's a situation where you can create a safe space for them to just let their feelings out.
Yeah.
Answer as many questions as you can. But like I said, it is really recognizing where they're at, because there's some information you can be really comfortable to share.
Yeah.
And then there's some others you're going to have to wait until the time is just appropriate.
Yeah.
It's, when it's appropriate. Or if unfortunately you don't get the opportunity to share the true appropriateness, it's being there to answer the question.
Yeah.
I tell parents all the time, if you're having a difficult time having this conversation with your child, you can give me a call. Just to be a support system to the parent, to be able to say, we can do this together. You don't have to be alone in this. When questions get answered, of course, I'll refer to the parent, what level are we having this conversation?
Yeah.
Because it just makes it more comfortable. It gives the parent a level of support, and if you don't call me, if you've got someone in your family that you trust, that your child trusts, have some support around you. You don't have to do this alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a part that we as moms, at least, don't always understand. Especially being a single mom, everything's on me. It's always me, like all the time. And so trying not to carry that burden all the time is it's difficult, but like you have to understand that, like, utilize your support system, use that help around you, use the people, that are in this child's life to help them, because it's rather difficult.
Yeah, but it takes a village.
Yeah.
It really does. And I know our villages look very different in this day and age. So I'm so grateful that I've got the group, The Vault, because I've realized that I've created a little mini village where I've got a lot of single moms. That their kids are now playing together. They're getting support. One saying, hey, I need a minute. Can somebody come and can I bring my kid over and hang out with the parent just so I can get a little bit of reality? We have to sometimes create our own villages, because sometimes our families are just not ideal.
Yeah.
I get it. But it's finding that village, whether it is family, maybe it's folks at your church, maybe it's those girlfriends that you've just been able to connect with on such a level that okay, this is a safe space. Let me utilize them, right? But I think the big part when it comes to that is you being comfortable enough to be vulnerable enough to share your space. Because I know with the group, especially when that heart opens up for vulnerability, oh my God, the most amazing things start to pour in.
Yeah.
So it's utilizing your systems.
I agree. And to piggyback off of what you were saying about creating your own support system, I know that so my son had a mini golf night or something at school, and like we went to putt-putt and it was fun. And I was sitting there and I was talking to one of my friends, and the other mom was there, and she was like, "Oh, I'll take the boys." Like, she had twin boys. And Demaris, she's like, "I got them if you want to, continue your conversation." I was like, "Oh, okay, thank you." So they have fun. We go to leave, and Demaris is like, "Did you get her number? Like, I want to be able to play with them." And I was like, "I don't like talking to people. Like, no." So he's like, "Mom, please." So I go back in there, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm Jaida." Like, we introduce ourselves. And come to find out, she lives literally not even 5 minutes around the corner from us.
See?
And so now the support that we have, like, I would consider what we do teamwork too, because there are some days when she's like, "I'm working late," and I'm like, "Bring the boys over here, I'll cook dinner, like, let's just let them hang out and have fun, and we're good." And there are some days that I'm like, Damaris's game is canceled. He's going to be so mad today. He has nothing else to do. Like, and she's like, oh, we're going to a birthday party. Bring him. He ate dinner. He's good. Come get him now at like 9:00. And I'm just like, I love what we have. Like, we've been able to really create this like bond because she's also a single mom. I think she had her first child when she was the same age that I was when I had Demarius. So there's so much similarities there. But even then, it's just like we can really just be like, I'm going through it.
Yeah.
Get these kids. Like, help me out. Like, sometimes we just sit and talk while the kids play. Like, being able to create that for us. And, like, had I not gone back in there and had that conversation, it would have just been like.
It's letting down some of these barriers.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so one of our biggest mottos is that we teach women how to remove the barriers in their lives that are preventing them from living the life that they were designed to live.
Yeah.
So if you can knock down these barriers of not wanting to talk to people, not wanting to be social, saying, oh, I'm an introvert. You can be an introvert and still have someone help you with your kids.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things where that has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Being an introvert, if I think about it, it really means, where do I get my energy from? So if you know that you get your energy from being by yourself, it makes more sense that you do link up with a few people that do have an opportunity to help you get your time alone.
Yeah.
But it's removing those barriers, whatever it is that is stopping you, whatever it is that's preventing you from doing what you want to. You want your son to be happy. You want him to have friends. You want him to be socially competent, be able to have great conversations, meet people of different background space. Like, you want all these things. But if mama says, no, you can't go out and play.
Yeah.
If mama says, no, I'm going to make you stay here and you can't, no, I'm too tired. Then you're not doing what you really want. So sometimes it does take, let me move these barriers. Let me go on back and talk to this girl. And then imagine the amazing relationships, bonds that get made just from simply saying hello, giving a number. But I do know the big part, it's developing a trust.
Yeah, for sure.
It's developing a trust. But I also know that you've raised your son in such a way that he's got a good sense of character about himself as well as other people.
Yeah.
So it's also trusting yourself that you've raised your kids in such a way that you know they're going to pick some good friends.
That's a really good point to make. That's a really good, I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, you got to trust what you've done.
Yeah.
But then also really trust your kid. Because we know as adults, we've made some decisions.
Yeah.
We done made some friends that we maybe shouldn't have. But there was something that we learned about ourselves by maybe the not always best friend.
Yeah.
But I know we are living in a world where we're so worried about our kids. I mean, I am right on the edge of that generation where it's like I could literally go outside, play all day, let my mom know basically where I was. And as long as I was home before the street lights came on,
you're good.
Or before she was calling to say, Angela, bring your butt home, I had that flexibility. But now, I mean, all of the kids have cell phones. You know where they are. There's a little bit level of give them a space, give them a little bit to be able to make some good decisions and trust what you've done.
Yeah.
Trust what they are going to do.
Yeah.
And give them the room to make the mistake too.
Whew.
I know.
Parenting is ghetto.
It has its opportunities to be, but it also has opportunities where it's like we all want to do a little bit better.
Yeah.
Right? We all want to be a little bit better than how parents always say, I want to be able to give my kid what I didn't have.
Right.
Okay, but there was some stuff you did have that was really good too that you need to still push into this whole thing. And some of that might be a little bit of space, a little bit of time, a little bit of opportunity. But like I say, that trust.
Yeah.
Build it when they're young so that you can handle it when they're older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good point because I know at one of your latest workshops with we were making the candles and we were talking about like, support. And I remember saying something along the lines of like the man's ain't got no daddy and every black man that comes in his life leaves and like, what am I doing wrong? And just being just so like overwhelmed with the fact that like he doesn't have a father figure.
Right.
And I remember you just being like, he's so happy. Like he has so much love around him. And months later, I'm still stressed about the same thing. I'm like, but he ain't got no daddy. Like, there's some things I can't teach him.
Right.
Like, just still stressed. And my therapist was like, what are you talking about?
Right.
She was like, he goes to your mom's like every other weekend. He has his aunt. He has his friends. You've made friends in the neighborhood now that like he gets to hang with and play with. And you have other friends too. She was like, he has so much love and support around him.
Yeah.
He's not missing anything.
Mm-mm.
You're forcing this narrative on him, which you wouldn't just want somebody random to be around to be like, oh, well, he has a father figure around.
Yeah, because imagine what the father figure could be if it's not the right one, right? You know what I mean? So, yes, there's certain things that we say a man can teach a boy these things and a woman can teach a girl these things. But in the reality, we live in such an interesting world, especially today, where it's like, you know what? There's great opportunities. There's great resources to be able to do good demonstrations. But like your therapist said, he is surrounded. And like I said, that boy, when I saw him, that boy was so happy. He was jumping on that little bounce house. The joy that I saw in his face, that when you brought him over to meet me, he was like, "Hi, Miss Angela. Okay, Mom, can I go play now?" Because he's like, "I'm having so much fun."
Yeah.
Right? Yes, there's some things that quote unquote get missed, but I'm like, but what does that also get filled with?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's, like I say, there's no one way of parenting. There's no one way of doing any of this stuff. So if it takes a village, if it takes the fact that he's seeing men in other types of worldly views, it's giving him an opportunity to create what he wants, the type of man he wants to be, the amazing level of love and sensitivity that you will be able to put on him. But then the fact that he's still surrounded by other people and still sees the world. Your son is so brilliant. He sees what's happening in the world. You are raising a phenomenal young man, and a man that you should be very proud of. Don't worry about who's not in his life. Show up for who is. Because we all got big energy, right? Like I'm just saying, in one way or another, I want to show up appropriately. Doesn't matter male or female. It just doesn't to me.
Okay. So what advice or words of wisdom would you give a young adult, just based off of what you've seen in your clientele lately or what people have been dealing with? What words of wisdom would you give right now?
I would say my first one is give yourself grace. I'm sorry. I think we put way too much pressure on ourselves. I so don't want to be one of those people that's like, stop looking at social media, and social media is the devil. But I'm going to tell you right now, it has got us comparing ourselves so crucially and at our own detriment. Comparing ourselves to each other and thinking that we're not where we're supposed to be in our point in time in life. Because, I can look at myself. I am 36 years old. I am single and I have no children. Instantly, the social media world is like, what's wrong with you? Right? It's so quick. And it's like, well, I've made these certain decisions. I had a certain path and plan for my life. And this is just how it turned out to be. But I think what happens is when we don't give ourselves grace, we put ourselves under so much pressure. And I mean that in all aspects. We're not the right weight we're supposed to be at. We're not at the right hair length. Who's got good hair? Who doesn't? Where colorism across all races is insane. You think about what education you have and the fact that there's some people that never went to college that are making millions and billions. And then you got folks like me that did the 4 years of undergrad, got the master's degree, has student loans out the freaking wazoo, right? And it seems like I'm okay. Well, why am I not where I'm supposed to be? No, I'm gonna give myself grace, because I'm gonna tell you some of the things that I've been through in my life are exactly why I'm here where I am today. So give yourself some grace. And the other thing is, I think self-care is the most important thing in the entire world. And I don't care what you do every day. You need to do something that's really good for yourself.
That part.
Right? Every day. One that it has to be, in my opinion. Rita and I have this thing. It's like a 3-prong thing that starts your day. You wake up every morning and you write in your journal. At least for a good 10-15 minutes. I always write mine with the "Dear God, I love you" letter. And then I just tell God how much I love him. And then I start getting into my day, or what I'm stressing about, or what I dreamed about, or what's been pressing on me. I put it in the journal because I've got to get it out of me. Then I read something motivational. I don't care if that's a blog that I'm following. It could be a daily devotion. I'm a big fan of Jesus Calling by Sarah Young. Whatever it is, let it fill me. Even the daily Om. And I know some people are like, oh, but you're Christian, but you like the daily Om. I do. I just replace universe with God, and it works really great for me. But you read something really motivational to fill you. And then you spend 15 to 30 minutes in silence. Now I'm a talker. So spending time in silence allows me to finally just calm myself. But it allows me to be more intentional about what I'm listening to. And I'm listening to God to tell me what my marching orders are for the day. What I'm supposed to do, how I'm supposed to handle myself. Whatever I read that was motivational, what God, what did you want me to get from that today? Because I believe it was purposeful that I read this. What am I supposed to get? So that way, when I step out my door, my armor of God is on me and I can handle what I want to do. And for me, that's a level of self-care. But then before my day's over, I don't care if it's a dip in the hot tub. I don't care if it's a silent walk around the block. I don't care if it's going to my garden and picking a few flowers. I don't care if it's my big thing. Like, I love the moon. The moon is just the most amazing thing that I feel like I can look at the sky and stare at, because I can't stare at the sun. I'm going to go blind. But looking at the moon, it gives me something. It lets me see this the light in the darkness. Like there's something powerful in that to me. So for me, if it's a good full moon, oh, you best believe I'm gonna be out there with my chair staring up and loving it. But every day, you know, my mother taught me that. My mother, she calls it a wet bath. She takes a wet bath every single night. I know, a wet bath. She adds oils and bubble baths. She's got her candles lit. She's got Luther Vandross on the radio. She's got the lights dimly lit. It is an experience. It's a mood. It's her telling herself at the end of the day, job well done.
Yeah.
To make sure that she has a good night's sleep so she can handle the next day.
Yeah.
So my self-care is give yourself grace. Make sure you wake up in the morning and journal. Make sure you read something motivational. Spend that time in silence.
Yeah.
And then before the day is over, do something good and loving to yourself and for yourself.
No, I love that. I think recently my therapist told me to create a luxury experience for myself every single day.
Every day.
She's like, I don't care what that looks like for you, but create that for you. And she was like, especially with you being like, I'm single, I'm in this like no dating thing for a while, like, and I love this for me. Yeah. But she was like, you don't have anybody at home to kind of like pour into you and to nourish you right now. So like that needs to come from you. Like you need to be giving this to yourself.
Absolutely.
And I was like, okay, I hear you. Like, let me make sure that I'm doing this for me. And I also wanted to talk about self-care because I feel like sometimes we have this idea of self-care and like self-care is getting my hair done and it's getting my nails done. No, self-care is pouring into you.
That's right.
And if it is getting your hair done and getting your nails done, then that's fine. But you need to have that moment with yourself.
You do. One thing that I'll share, we all know about the love languages, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, Gary Chapman, love languages. I'm a fan of them too myself. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, and my thing is when you know what your love language is, even for the outside world, you also know how to treat yourself.
Exactly.
Right? If I know that acts of service is one of my love languages, then maybe even for myself, okay, I'm going to make sure that I got my coffee pot already in the Keurig. I'll make sure I got that right, you know, milk creamer that I like so that I can make myself that great cup of coffee in the morning that's going to make me feel good about my day. Yeah. If I know that it's gifts, maybe I'm going to make sure that a really cute little Amazon package does come in the mail for me at that perfect time. That's going to be something that makes me feel good, right? If it's quality time, it's spending that time in silence and I'm going to just journal, right? I even say with words of affirmation, I'm going to write a love letter to myself. I'm going to put words around my room that are inspiring, that love on me. Those are real simple little acts of service that you can do for yourself and ways to show yourself a little bit of love. It really doesn't necessarily cost you a whole lot.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't cost you a whole lot. But yeah, but it in the same token, if getting your nails and hair done is a thing, your love language might be physical touch. And for you, it really might be that physical touch of that. Could be the quality time of spending that time with yourself, but yet there's still another person there.
Yeah.
So it's just recognizing, okay, how do I most feel loved? And then let me do that to make sure that I'm self-loving on myself.
Exactly.
You can do it for yourself.
I took a quiz, like a self-love language quiz, because my love language ended up being different for myself than it was for how other people love me, which is funny. But it really helped me kind of see like how I like to just spend time with me and what I like for myself. I feel like for me now, getting my hair and nails done is maintenance. Like, if I do it, it feels good, but it doesn't make me feel good about me.
Gotcha.
So my self-care now for me is more so like the journaling, the spending time alone, the like whatever I want to do to make me feel good. If it's eating chicken wings on the couch and watching Netflix, and like that's my self-care day.
That's love.
Yeah. So like I love that because that definitely gives me some perspective.
I hear you. One thing that you said that, you know, you understand how it teaches you how you love people, but then you notice that people are not loving you that way. One thing that I will tell you, we do teach people how to love us. Yeah. When we have that outside perspective. Now, when it comes from our parents, people that raise them, that's one thing.
Right.
But in the same token, we always hear that statement, we teach people how to treat us. Right. We also teach people how to love us too. But you have to sometimes tell people, this is how I best feel loved. Yeah. I need you to know this because someone can hurt you and think, oh, okay, I'm going to just buy her flowers and that's, I'm sorry. Well, if gifts is not my thing, a hug. Right? If a hug was it, right? Or if you're looking at me and saying, I am so sorry that I hurt you. Or if it's, let me do something to just show you how sorry. Let me write you a note that says it. You've got to make sure you meet people where they're at and how they want to be loved. So letting someone know how I want to be loved and then constantly, you know, encouraging it does help. Now, some people just want to just play hard to get, I guess. But for the people that do love you, you can really show them what really works best for you.
Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about therapy versus life coaching because I think sometimes people think you need one or the other or like, what's the difference? People get confused. And I know for me, I prefer to have both. I feel like, my opinion, you correct me. therapy to me is my why. Why did you behave like this? Why did you grow up like this? How did that make you feel? And those type of things that like created me to be who I am. But I feel like a life coach helps me on the how. How can I press forward? How can I move? How can I get past this? How can I like continue and look towards my future when I feel like therapy is kind of healing my past and like where I am. So can you speak a little bit about like the difference in therapy and life coaching?
So I like to take it to the idea of we have a dentist, we have an eye doctor, we got an OBGYN, we got a primary care physician, and maybe you've got a specialist, right? Yeah. In our lives, we need other people to do those other things for us too. Yeah. So you're absolutely right. When it comes to the level of therapy, which is what I did before, right? It really is helping you figure out what are those triggers? What are those things? How did you get here? What was the trauma? What was your childhood like? Where is the chemical imbalancement happening? Yeah. Really focusing on the diagnosis. But when it comes to coaching, which is why I love what I've transitioned to, number one, insurance is out the window. I love that part for my own self. And it allows me to be flexible on how I want to do things. Yeah. But when it comes to the coaching, it's like, okay, yeah, you might have this going on. Yes, you might be a little depressed. Yes, you might have a little bit of anxiety, but you're seeing your therapist maybe. You're maybe taking medication. You're doing all those things right. But you're like, but I still want to move forward. I still have goals. I still have dreams. I still have aspirations that I want to do and I want to achieve, even though I've got this on my back. Right. And that's why I love coaching, because literally that person, the therapist, is like putting you in the bubble wrap, right? They're putting in the bubble wrap or peeling, even the opposite, peeling back layers for you. And then you come to me and it's like, okay, just like a coach in general, the motivation, the inspiration, the do these workouts, do these activities, do these journaling, right? To get yourself in the best shape that you can be in, so that you're able to do things. So in my mind, I think you should still have both. Yeah. Like I'm gonna tell you, I'm a coach and I've got a coach and I have a therapist. Yeah. And I've got a support group that I'm a part of, because it takes it, like that village we were talking about earlier. Yeah. It takes different aspects so that people can focus on different parts of you. Because yes, I've got some PTSD from my past, some things that I still want to make sure that I continuously work on to get over. Because I mean, it can come up and be triggered with a client dealing with some of the same stuff. So if I get myself taken care of, right, I'm able to take on whatever my clients bring my way and use it to help them get themselves to the next level. So with coaching, I look at it more on the lines of it's that motivation. Because even with the spiritual coaching, because yes, there is Christian therapy, and I'm very familiar, but in the idea with the spiritual coaching, it's saying, okay, you've got, you know, whatever going on in life, but maybe we'll do some devotions together. Maybe we'll make sure that what's pouring into you really is God's word and Jesus's teachings and the love that just can be felt with that thing of getting you grounded. Because to me, you can get all the therapy and coaching you want to, but if you're not grounded in something that's right, that's pouring into you, you are just flailing in the wind and you're going to get right back to where you were before when you're not really grounded. So that's why for coaching, it's like I have the ability to bring the spiritual coaching side mixed in with a little bit of therapy, with that mental health wellness, to say, I understand what you're going through with what you're dealing with your diagnosis, but we can still get you to that next level and where you're really trying to be and where you're supposed to be.
Yeah. No, I love that. Yeah. What age do you start coaching?
So for myself, I work with those that are starting at about 18. Okay. Predominantly those young adults. I love my millennials. Yes, I am one. I feel like millennials get the worst rap in the entire world. They say we're so entitled and all these things, but I need people to realize what we did and what we were supposed to do. We did those things and we're not better off than our parents are, right? Because the world changed. Yeah. So it's understanding that I just have the sympathy for our young adults, because the world is very different than what we thought it was supposed to, especially if we followed all the rules or even we broke a few and tried to make something happen. We're still finding ourselves in these situations that are these barriers holding us back.
I feel like technically I think I'm in Gen Z. I think it starts with my year. I consider myself a millennial. I don't consider myself to be Gen Z. I don't care what nobody says. But I feel like as a millennial, because I'm going to say I am
there
one.
You go. You claim it.
That we kind of broke the barrier. So like Gen Z can be this, oh, I'm not working that job I don't like. because it started with us.
Yeah, we developed the first time for this true work-life balance.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, when 5 o'clock hits, no,
That's
I'm not
it.
hanging out another 5 minutes
I'm
to talk to
done.
the boss about what's going on in the day. No, it's 5 o'clock. I got stuff to do.
Yeah.
Right? I've got teams to still be a part of. I've got family to take care of. I've got shopping to do. I've got
Yeah.
self-care to work on. You want me to
Yeah.
work on the weekends? No, I've got
Yeah.
stuff planned because I'm living my life.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you were on this episode with me. Thank you for being
Thank
here.
you.
It's been so
Thank you.
great.
It's been great, Jaida. Thank you for having me, and I hope I can come back again.
Of course, always. So tell everyone a little bit more about you. If you have any events, workshops coming up, plug your socials, give everybody some information about the great Angela.
So, of course, Angela Lightfoot. You can follow me on Instagram at Miss Angela Coaches, MSANGELACOACHES. They made me change it because I was MISS, but they said I aged out. But no, you can definitely find me there. Of course, you can reach me even by email at angela@ritaricks.com is the fastest way to get to me. We do have a few things going on. We're always doing something. Throughout the rest of this year, we'll be doing, Rita and I both will be doing this series of online events that will be free, that have accompanied workbooks with it, that are all different things. I'm actually doing Glow Up again, which is when Jaida and I first had our great interaction. So I'm doing Glow Up again, and it's going to be online. Of course, you can just go to ritaricks.com and see all that information. And of course, those that are here in the Richmond area, we have a phenomenal group called The Vault. And it's a wonderful group of women that are between the ages of 21 and 35, where we get together and talk about real life stuff over a little bit of wine. And we have a good time bringing in just different guests and different opportunities for us to talk. But of course, I do a virtual silent retreat every second Tuesday. That's also free. So if you're looking for that opportunity to get yourself grounded, you want to try this silence thing out and see how God talks to you, I invite you to join me. Just go to ritaricks.com, get yourself registered, and I'd be happy to see you. And of course, if you are dealing with anything, whatever life might be throwing your way, and you're looking for an opportunity to meet with a coach, please just hit me up. You can hit me up through Instagram or through my email, and I'll be happy to offer, of course, all of our Jaida subscribers to be able to have a free consultation to just see how I can help you create your plan, help you see what your journey looks like, help you find your purpose and power in what you're doing. So I am always here to help, and it's Miss Angela Coaches.